Welcome to We Explain Things Quickly. I'm so excited about today's episode because we are going to cover one of my favorite movies of all times. Let's check ourselves into a place very intimate and strangely epic in its struggle. We're heading to the Oregon State Hospital, a world of sterile linoleum floors, locked wards, and the quiet, humming machinery of the human mind. We're diving into Ken Kesey's 1962 counterculture masterpiece, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This is a ferocious, funny, and ultimately heartbreaking parable about the untamable spirit of the individual versus the crushing weight of conformity. Our eyes and ears in this world belong to a narrator as unforgettable as he is seemingly unreliable. The towering, silent Chief Bromden, a Native American patient who everyone believes is deaf and dumb. He sees the world through a paranoid, poetic haze, viewing the hospital as the Combine, a vast, oppressive machine designed to sand down the rough edges of humanity and fix people into manageable, predictable parts. And the master mechanic of this soul-crushing factory is the serene, smiling, and utterly terrifying Nurse Ratched. Nurse Ratched is one of literature's greatest villains, made all the more monstrous because she is not a cackling, evil tyrant. She is a picture of calm, therapeutic control. With her perfectly starched white Hoggetty uniform, her placid smile, and her saccharine, condescending tone, she wields her power with shame, manipulation, and the quiet, soul-killing weapon of passive aggression. She has created a therapeutic community where the male patients are pitted against each other, encouraged to confess their deepest fears and failings in group therapy sessions, which she then uses as ammunition to keep them broken, docile, and dependent. Her ward runs on a schedule of perfect, numbing order. Into this frozen, sterile world crashes a human hurricane. His name is Randle McMurphy, a swaggering, loudmouthed, gambling, life-than-life conman with a lust for life that is as infectious as it is dangerous. Sentenced to a prison work farm, he faked insanity to get what he thought would be an easy ride on the psychiatric ward. He arrives with a booming laugh and an unshakable confidence, a force of pure, untamed id clashing with the Combine's rigid control. He cannot comprehend the voluntary submission of the other patients. Men like the brilliant, anxious, intellectual Dale Harding, the explosive but insecure Charlie Cheeswick, and the most poignantly, the painfully shy, stuttering Billy Bibbett, a 31-year-old man completely dominated by the memory of his mother. He sees these men as rabbits who have been scared into submission by a wolf in nurse's clothing. He makes a bet with them he can shatter Nurse Ratched's icy composure within a week. And so begins his campaign of glorious anarchic rebellion. He demands that the blaring, mind-numbing music be turned down. He stages a protest to watch the World Series, leading to a memorable scene where he and the other men sit cheering at a blank television screen in an act of pure defiance. He commandeers the hospital bus, smuggles in a pair of freewheeling women, and takes the men on a chaotic, liberating fishing trip. A day on the open water that reminds them what it feels like to be strong, capable, and alive. With every prank and every small victory, he breathes life back into the ward. He teaches them to gamble, to love, to stand up for themselves. He is their savior, their jester, their flawed, brawling messiah. But then comes a chilling realization. McMurphy learns from a lifeguard that unlike prison where a sentence is fixed, he can be kept on the ward indefinitely, his release entirely at the discretion of Nurse Ratched. He discovers that most of the other patients are not committed like he is. They are there voluntarily too terrified of the outside world to leave. The game suddenly has life or death stakes. For a brief period, McMurphy backs down, conforming to the rules to protect himself. The other patients are crushed. Their hero has surrendered. The true turning point comes when McMurphy, seeing the hope he inspired, now turning to despair, makes a conscious choice. He throws his own self-interest to the wind and decides to fight for the souls of these men, no matter the personal cost. The war with Nurse Ratched escalates. When she denies the men their cigarettes, a patient has a violent outburst, and McMurphy joins the fray, which earns them both a trip to the electroshock therapy table. But even this doesn't break him. He returns to the ward pretending to be a zombified vegetable, only to spring back to life with his signature laugh, proving to the men that the Combine's power is not absolute. His final act of rebellion is his grandest and most tragic. He bribes the night orderly and throws a wild, booze-fueled, all-night party right there on the ward. It is a celebration of everything the Combine seeks to suppress: chaos, pleasure, sexuality, and freedom. He arranges for the fragile Billy Bibbit to lose his virginity with one of the women, giving the boy his first real moment of adult confidence. The morning after is a catastrophe. Nurse Ratched arrives to find the ward in shambles. When she discovers Billy with the woman, she doesn't yell. She does something far worse. She calmly, sweetly shames him, threatening to tell his dominating mother what he has done. The fear this instills in Billy is so absolute that he has a breakdown and moments later commits suicide. Seeing Billy's body, McMurphy finally snaps. The games are over. In a fit of pure, righteous rage, he assaults Nurse Ratched, tearing her starch uniform open and wrapping his hands around her throat, exposing her to her patients as a vulnerable, terrified human being. His attack is stopped, but her power is broken forever. She has lost her greatest weapon, her aura of serene, invincible control. This act, however, seals McMurphy's fate. He is taken away, and when he returns to the ward weeks later, he's not the same man. He's a ghost. The Combine has given him its ultimate cure, a lobotomy. He is silent, shuffling, a drooling vegetable in a wheelchair, a trophy of the system's power to fix those who refuse to fit in. But the story does not end with McMurphy's defeat. Chief Bromden, who has been slowly finding his own voice and strength, thanks to McMurphy, knows he cannot let his friend be displayed as a warning. In a final heartbreaking act of love and mercy, he smothers the empty shell of McMurphy with a pillow, freeing his spirit. Then, inspired by everything McMurphy taught him, the chief, the man everyone thought was too weak and broken to even speak, walks over to the massive hydrotherapy control panel, a piece of machinery so heavy that McMurphy himself had once tried and failed to lift it. With a surge of newfound strength, he rips it from the floor, smashes it through a window, and escapes into the dawn, running towards a new life. McMurphy, the man, was destroyed, but his defiant, life-affirming spirit lives on, carried out into the world by the man he helped set free.